Gingrich went on a conservative radio show and he was asked, if you were president, what's the first thing you would do? His answer is classic.
If you woke up tomorrow morning and you had been elected president, Mr. Speaker, what would you do first? I mean, it does seem like we are in such perilous times that if someone asked me this question, I'm not sure how I would answer it, because there are so many tragedies, it seems, pointed right at this country right now. So where would you start?
Well, first of all, remembering the scale of shock that the country would be in if they woke up tomorrow morning and you had a President Gingrich, I think I would take a lesson from President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who on June the 6th, 1944, did a national radio address from the White House announcing the invasion at Normandy, and closed by asking everyone to pray for the husbands and sons who were risking their lives landing to defeat Nazism. And then he said something very interesting. He said, people have asked me to declare a day of prayer, but the great war that we're in is so dangerous and so difficult that I believe every day should be a day of prayer. And so I am asking all of you to pray every day for the country and for the people, the Americans risking their lives to defend freedom. And this is, of course, a famous liberal Democrat who, the speech is well worth hearing. We used to get radio stations to play it on the 6th of June just because it was so shocking to people to hear a liberal Democrat this openly talking about prayer. I suspect the first thing I would do is say to the country, you're probably in as much shock as I am, and we should all go to God in prayer, because we're going to need it to get America out of the problems it's currently in.
Okay, in my mind, that's literally top 5 or 10 dumbest possible answers. He would pray. AKA, Newt Gingrich would talk to his imaginary friends or wish for something out loud. Not do the hard work to get the desired end. He would wish for something out loud. That's his first act in office, is to pray, to speak to supernatural, metaphysical, fake beings in the sky that there's no evidence they exist. I don't even think I need to respond any further to it. It's an absurd idea just on its face. But in all seriousness, we should be used to Newt saying stupid shit, because I don't know if you guys remember this. This is our old compilation of his idiocy. Enjoy.
With immersion in English, so people learn the common language of the country, and so they learn the language of prosperity, not the language of living in a ghetto.
The secular socialist machine represents as great a threat to America as Nazi Germany or the Soviet Union once did. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, isn't that wildly over the top?
No.
We have to, frankly, break the back of the secular socialist machine, elect people committed to representing the American people, and then methodically rip the system apart.
There is a gay and secular fascism in this country that wants to impose its will on the rest of us, is prepared to use violence, to use harassment. I think it is prepared to use the government if it can get control of it.
Gingrich warned of a takeover by atheist radical Islamists.
People who disagree with the Bush policy administration, comparing them to those who enabled Hitler?
Yes.
People like me are what stand between us and Auschwitz. I see evil around me every day.
What if President Obama is so outside our comprehension that only if you understand Kenyan anti-colonial behavior can you begin to piece together his actions? And he goes on to say, that is the most accurate predictive model for his behavior.
I think that the mother killing the 2 children in South Carolina vividly reminds every American how sick the society is getting and how much we need to change things. The only way you get change is to vote Republican.
You recently said black Americans should demand jobs, not food stamps. You also said poor kids lack a strong work ethic and proposed having them work as janitors in their schools. Can't you see that this is viewed at a minimum as insulting to all Americans, but particularly to black Americans?
No, I don't see that. Tells you everything you need to know about the difference between Barack Obama and the 5 of us, that we actually think work is good we're really puzzled. Here at Gingrich Productions, we've spent weeks trying to figure out, what do you call this? We will have the first permanent base on the moon, and it will be American. There's an enormous difference between a culture which believes it is purely secular and a culture which believes that it is somehow empowered by our Creator. And I always tell my friends who don't believe in this stuff, fine, how do you think we're randomly gathered protoplasm? We could have been rhinoceroses, but we got lucky this week. President Obama is the most effective food stamp president in American history. I also am an amateur paleontologist, so I've spent a lot of time looking at the Earth's temperature over a very long time. When we first developed the automobile, it was called the horseless carriage. Getting to Mars as rapidly as possible, building a series of space stations and developing commercial space. I believe the NRA has been too timid. A Gingrich presidency will submit to the United Nations a treaty that extends the right to bear arms as a human right for every person on the planet. I'm assuming there's some rhythm to Barack Obama that the rest of us don't understand, whether he needs large amounts of rest, whether he needs to go play basketball for a while. I don't watch ESPN. I mean, I don't quite know what his rhythms are. Frankly, happens to be a part-time president. I mean, he really is a lot like the substitute referees in the sense that he's not a real president. I mean, I don't have to go around and point out the inconsistencies of people who aren't going to be the nominee. They're not going to be the nominee.
You're going to be the nominee.
I'm going to be the nominee.
Makes my job so easy. I don't need to say anything. I just have to roll the tape.